Okay, this section of Chapter 7 deals with two additional control theories. One is called drift theory, and the other is called containment theory. We're going to start with drift theory. So, drift theory is the product of two criminologists named Sykes and Matza. It's been around for a while, 1957. And it's a really kind of an interesting idea. It starts with the assumption that most people, even the deviants around us, consider themselves to be normal in many ways. And they act normal most of the time. What they do is that occasionally, and we all are subject to do this, we drift in and out across that line between normal and deviant. And they use excuses to temporarily free themselves from the bonds in order to deviate. So here's a couple of just sort of common phrases you've probably heard. Oh, they were just blowing off steam. Oh, they were sowing wild oats. You know, these are types of excuses, but we really actually have four we're going to talk about, formal ones. We call these techniques of neutralization within drift theory. And so these are used primarily by youth. And you've probably used some yourself in dealing with your parents to explain your deviant behavior, those rare times when you've drifted across the border between normal and deviant. Hey, I can remember when Dia Deloso here at Baylor was basically a smaller version of Mardi Gras. You can look up some of the old parties on YouTube. So I know Baylor students break bad every now and then, and you rationalize it using techniques of neutralization. And then you return back to your normal life. You drift back across the line to conformity after you've done your wildness on Dia and other days. All right, so what are four rationalizations? We call these techniques of neutralization. And I'll skip down here to what they are. The first is denial of responsibility. Well, wasn't my fault that this happened. That's one that's commonly used. The second is denial of injury. Well, but no one got hurt. Yeah, we had a wild time. Yeah, we did all of this, but no one got hurt. Denial of a victim. This is oftentimes used in regards to crimes against the moral order or moral deviance. So people smoke, I hear this a lot, people smoking pot. Well, if I want to smoke pot, who am I hurting? Like, well, you might be hurting yourself, and you're also breaking the law. But the denial of a victim. Or, yeah, I know I shoplifted this, but they're a big corporation, and they got billions of dollars, and they're really, they got insurance for this kind of thing, for shoplifter insurance. And, so the idea that you've stole something from Walmart or some big, monster organization like that there's actually no victim there, which, in fact, is not true. There is a victim. And then lastly, the condemnation of the condemners, especially if you are condemning your child, because what they're going to tell you is, oh, you did the same thing when you were my age, or better yet, you did much worse when you were a kid. You've told me all about it. Don't tell your kids what you did as a child or as a teenager. All right, so moving on. The second theory is containment theory. And containment theory was founded by a guy named Walter Reckless, which is an awesome name for a criminologist. Reckless. And so this idea is that we are protected. We have inner containment and outer containment, that it protect us from engaging in deviant behaviors. And so let's talk first about the outer containment. Outer containment are the structural things we deal with in our lives, okay? The things that make us conform. This is very similar to Hershey's idea of social bonding theory. So what are some of the outer containments that keep us from deviating? Well, rules and regulation, and more importantly, the punishment that come with breaking the rules, belonging to cohesive groups, and opportunities to achieve status and rewards. So opportunities to get a good education and to get a good job, and to get recognition for all your hard work. Inner containment is those sort of psychological issues. A positive self-concept is a form of inner containment. Self-control, and we're going to come back to this word we mentioned the first few lectures, the ability to delay gratification. Can you put off what you really want right now to a later point in time in order to take the right path to get there? Number 3 is a sense of responsibility. And number 4 is a well-developed conscience. So essentially, people who have these things have strong inner containments. So how does it work? Well, you're all experiencing pushes and pulls throughout your life, okay, and throughout your daily life. And so you've got the inner and outer containment around you, the greater the ability to resist things that push or pull us into deviance, okay? And what are the things that push us in there? Hostility, the need for immediate gratification. What pulls us in there? Bad structural conditions in which you live, high levels of unemployment, hanging out with the wrong crowd of people, being involved in with a group of people that are always getting into trouble. You're going to get pulled into it as well. Now, I kind of like containment theory because the ideas are pretty straightforward, but it's not really the best theory out there. What is good about containment theory is it explains why most people in bad situations do not commit crimes. And that is true. Most people who live in terrible economic conditions are pretty law-abiding and conforming. Not all of them, but most of them. So this theory explains it. They have strong inner containment. They may have some strong outer containments. But as a theory, it's poorly defined. The terms are fairly vague. What is this idea of containment? Inner, outer, what does it really mean? And it doesn't really tell us why people commit particular types of crime. Why you might be more likely to commit a property crime versus a violent crime, or a violent crime versus property crime, or even a moral crime. And lastly, there's just very little supportive evidence that these things actually exist. All right, gonna stop there.